Hello and welcome to Sports Vehicle Performance. Today we're going to be diving into one of the greatest road-going rally cars ever made. Today we've got three examples. We've got a restored Underside EVO VI GSR. This ramp here, we've got the opposite, an unrestored EVO VI GSR again. So we'll be showing you some of the common issues on this one here and then showing you what they can look like on that one when they're all sorted out. This one here, EVO VI RS rally car. It's looking a little bit tired, but it's just because it's been parked up in a container for probably 5 or so years. So we'll run over this, show some of the cool modifications this has got to go rallying.
I'm going to go ahead and stop Tom there and take the time to tell you the history of the EVO VI and where this legend came from. So, it's the late 1990s. Japan was in the midst of a golden era for performance cars. The streets of Tokyo echoed with the growl of turbocharged engines, and motorsport was as much a part of life as neon lights and the busy streets of Tokyo. Out of this world emerged a car that would become a legend, not only just on the rally stages, but in the hearts of enthusiasts worldwide. The car we're talking about today, the Mitsubishi EVO VI. Born in 1999, the EVO VI was another car bred from a family of iconic legends, and it was Mitsubishi's answer to domination on the World Rally Championship circuit. Homologation special built to meet FIA regulations, the EVO VI was not only built to win, to dominate. Mitsubishi had already tasted success with earlier evolutions, but the sixth generation was more refined, more aggressive and more focused. The 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, codenamed the 4G63, was legendary for its durability and tunability, being well known for its iron block and capacity to take as much boost as you can throw at it. No wonder it became a go-to for Japanese tuners. Not only that, but it went on to win. With Finnish rally driver Tommi Mäkinen behind the wheel, Mitsubishi secured 4 consecutive WRC Drivers' Championships from 1996 to 1999, culminating in the special Tommi Mäkinen edition of the EVO VI, a lighter, sharper, faster version that remains iconic to this day, giving it true championship pedigree. But its legacy didn't stop there. Back home in Japan, the EVO VI became a symbol of the underground tuning scene, tore through mountain passes in Touge battles, showed up in anime like Initial D, later roared onto the screens in Gran Turismo and the Need for Speed series, placing itself into pop culture forever. In a time where the line between the road and the rally stage blurred, the EVO VI was one car that really stood out from the rest.
So we're going to start with this one here in the middle, the unrestored EVO VI GSR. Because this is a bit of a buyer's guide, we're going to be starting off with the major issue, which is rust. So we'll get this up in the air and we'll show you the most common rust spots and what to look out for if you're thinking of buying one of these cars. So we're underneath the car now. I'm going to be showing you some of the common spots. So first areas to look, and probably one of the easiest, is literally get under the car, look at the sill and the skirt. So you'll see here, this is obviously meant to be a straight edge. It's where multiple panels are joined together and the seams, and they obviously rot between them. So this is completely gone all the way along here to the back. So that'll obviously need some pretty major attention. Next areas, we've got the rear chassis legs. That is extremely common on them. Most of these cars, if they haven't had them, unless they've been very well looked after from new, they're going to be needing a set at some point in their life. So as you can see here, this has been previously repaired. You can see there's been a plate put in. And then if you look further down here, it's all just bubbling away here, and it's even worse this side. Like, it's completely gone through there. So this car will be needing chassis legs, sills, and then another common thing here is actually the fuel filler neck. So that there, again, you know, when you're doing all this work, just make sure to replace it. But yeah, that's another common thing to look at. Obviously it's perfectly doable with all the car built up. But yeah, it's just another thing to note. The rest of the car here, just have a good look down, check your chassis rails are straight, because you don't want to see signs of this. It just doesn't look great. It's been jacked up on most likely because these aren't the jacking point for the car. And again, the front edge of this here, this can all rot internally here and up into here. And then now we'll lower it down and show a couple more of the areas, so things in the rear doors and areas like that. So we've got the car lower down now. There is another thing to mention though about the underside. Just be wary of black, thick underseal, as you saw on the bottom of this. It can hide a lot of things, especially if you put it on really thick. So yeah, no, just be a bit skeptical about it. Go around the car with a magnet as well, and that'll also help, you know, show signs that people are trying to hide things. A few areas to check with the car lower down that's a bit more accessible and saves you having to be underneath the thing. Pop your fuel filler cap, you know, the lid open. Have a look around here, check for any rust. We've seen these before when they're completely hanging loose. This one's actually okay condition. There's a little bit of surface bubbling, but nothing too major and will easily be rectified. In the boot here, pop it open. Obviously your car will more than likely have carpet in it. Just peel it forward, especially the bits around here that you can get to. Have a look in the spare wheel well, check for any holes, you know, just areas where they've gone through. Also take a look around the strut mounts and stuff like that. Just, you know, you can see on that one there's a bit of surface bubbling, but it's more than fine. It just needs, again, taking back, treating. You don't want to see any holes there, because that obviously leads to a lot of expense. Moving on to around the edges here, again, just check all this seam here. Check for any signs of rear end crash damage, things like that. It's just always good to have a good look around there, because again, these cars are from 1999. They could be hiding, you know, plenty of things. Moving on, rear doors, another area to check. So you'll see here the bottom edge of the door itself. These rust away. Again, this one's not in too bad condition and can definitely be rectified easy enough. But you know, you just want to keep an eye on that and check it's not completely gone, and you're going to need to be buying a door because they're quite hard to come by. What's also is hard to come by are these rear arch trims. So you can see the inner skin, that's like the metal skin, these corrode, and eventually they can actually snap and break off if they corrode too badly. I've seen a lot worse condition than this, but it's also not great. And again, check them because they're not available from Mitsubishi anymore, and they cost you a pretty penny. This here, you've got same on the front door. Just have a good look around. Again, that's not too bad at all. And yeah, just it's quite an easy area to check yourself and just do that. So into the engine bay now, a couple more areas. You've got the strut top mounts here. So as you can see there, it's starting to flake away. You've got where water seeps in under this sealer here, and it starts to flake the paint off, and obviously ultimately causes corrosion as it's starting to do there. So again, that's a costly repair to put right if it's really bad. So easy enough to check, pop the bonnet and have a look round. So that's it for the rust. We haven't covered everything there, but you know, most of the main bits that you're going to be able to check yourself. So yeah, we'll now move on to the next part. Mechanically, the EVO VI is a brilliant car, but it needs regular maintenance to keep it in tip-top condition. The heart is a 2-litre 4G63 turbo, 4-cylinder, 4-wheel drive. It's a recipe for lots of fun. But however, they do have their issues. So we're going to run through them. I've put a bit of a list together, so we'll go through it and we'll talk you through basically what to look out for. So you've got the grey or blue smoke. Check for that on startup. It could lead to possible turbo problems, things like that. These cars often are modified, running more boost than factory, and yeah, that can lead to all sorts of issues depending on, you know, black smoke, it can be fuel problems, blue will be oil, and white will be coolant related issues. So keep an eye on the colour, and then, you know, based on if it has got smoke, dive deeper in depending on what colour smoke it's got. Other issues you've got is the AYC. On GSRs, they have active yaw control. So that's basically controls the rear diff. It's a pump in the right-hand rear of the body shell. They have lots of issues. They're quite temperamental. There's a dash on the dashboard there in front of you. You'll have the AYC light, and if it's on, that means you've got a problem with it, and it can cost, you know, probably up to £2 grand to put right, depending on what's wrong with it. So look out for that light if it's illuminated. So what will happen is you'll put the ignition on, the light will come on, say AYC, as you start the car, it will then go out basically. And if it doesn't go out and stays lit, you've got an issue. So that's another thing you can bargain with if you're buying a car, it's got AYC issues. Again, the other side of that is a lot of people fit the RS differentials, which is what's fitted to this rally car here. So that eliminates the whole of the AYC system, makes it, you know, a lot more kind of like how an old car would be, a mechanical differential and all that. So yeah, but the problem is with that, it comes at a cost. You're going to be looking at £3.5 to probably three or so grand from the top of my head, just for the diff kit. So, you know, it's a worthy investment, but it's not cheap. Obviously, on the rest of the car, clutch and flywheel, if you're running more power, check over that, listen for any noises, the clutch whining, take it up the road, don't be afraid to give it some power, check for clutch slip, put it in a higher gear, load it up. And you know, you don't want to do that. A clutch on these is, again, not a cheap job. You know, the box it's all 4-wheel drive, so it's quite a big job, and an uprated clutch, again, will set you back, you know, at least up to £1,000 with a flywheel. So again, another great thing to check. Other thing is obviously your maintenance, so your fluids on these, oils, 4,500 mile service intervals on the oils. So make sure you've got history of that with the car you're buying, because again, you want to know what you're buying. You don't want to spend your money on something that's, you know, not been looked after ideally, you know, and if you are going to spend it, you know, you can barter and knock the price down based on that. Timing belt, that's every 45,000 miles or 5 years. You need to have history of that being done. If it hasn't been done, you know, that's catastrophic consequences when they go wrong. Obviously, other thing is as well, 4-wheel drive car, check the tyres for even wear. you know, misalignment and stuff, it's crucial to have these cars aligned properly, or they just don't drive right and they don't work properly, especially if you've got all the AYC and stuff like that. It throws everything off. It's a crucial part to get right. Yeah, another thing, take it round, listen for any suspension knocks. You know, these cars are from 1999, bushes and things are going to be worn out. If it's got history of replacement, then that's great. Fuel tank and fuel pump. Again, the interior of the fuel tank on these actually is very common to rust. That will then degrade, obviously, inside the tank, go through your fuel lines and block up things like injectors, fuel filters, and cause all sorts of running issues. So it's a great idea. Thing is, if you're buying a car, it's going to be difficult to take the lid of the tank off and have a look inside, but, you know, speak to the person you're buying it from. Has it been done? Has it been checked? Has it had regular fuel filter changes? Things like that. That all helps. So that's another thing that's a common issue. And then, you know, lastly, just have a good look round, check for things on, you know, vacuum hoses, check your coolant, check it's got oil in it. You know, if the owner's looked after it, you know, it'd be a great sign if you dip the oil when you turn up. If it's got oil on the right level, you know the person's looked after it. If it's low, you know, it's just all these things. Check your coolant, check it's not murky coloured. Fresh coolant's always a great sign that, again, someone's looked after a car. And another common thing on these is the turbo actuator. Being down there at the front, they actually fill with water on the standard setup, so that'll fill with water and effectively seize and cause all sorts of boosting problems. So it's a great thing, you know, if it's been changed, it probably will have been changed by now. But yeah, another thing there. So that's fundamentally it for mechanical. There is more, but there's a couple of the main points there for you to look out for. So we're actually inside the other EVO VI now. This is the restored example. So we're going to be going through some of the interior and showing you basically common issues and things to look out for if you're thinking of buying one. So we're going to start off with some of the electronics. So windows, check all your windows, go up and down, operate off all the switches, and obviously the lock function, check all that works, because window regulators are fairly hard to come by now. And, you know, you don't want to be getting into doing one of them if you don't have to. So just check the function, nice easy thing to check. Another thing is electric wing mirrors. You've got the adjuster here. So again, it's just nice and easy to check. Just check they adjust, which they do on this car. Other thing you've got is a climate control. The GSR come with this. So obviously check your aircon. I'll just put the ignition on and you'll see it light up. The screens aren't great on them because obviously from 1999 they have a bit of fading and stuff, but you know, it still functions as it should. Check the aircon, you know, because that's a great thing to have. A lot of cars, to be fair, have had aircon deleted and the pumps taken off and stuff like that, where they've been modified over the years. So it's a great sign if it's still got aircon, it's probably been looked after and stuff like that. So other areas you've got is probably going to be, so the seat bolsters are very common on these Recaros. These are actually in rather good condition. We'll show you the clip of the other car over there. They're in a lot more of a poor condition. The bolsters on the edges, especially the driver's side on the right hand side. The other area you've got is on the door cards. Here you'll see the material around the edge starts to peel away. As you can see here, it's bubbled up and then there. So that's again just where the glue over the years fades and, you know, just the material separates from where it's been bonded. So that's another thing, you know, there's nothing really wrong with that and it's easily rectifiable. Just buy a trimmer, or to be honest, you can even do it yourself. Door card off, material off, re-glue it and all that. So yeah, I think that's mainly it for the inside. They're actually really nice inside, you know, for a 1999 car. They're a lot more refined than you think. You've obviously got options of fitting aftermarket head units, like this here is an Apple CarPlay Pioneer unit and it almost looks factory. Like the fitment is really good. You can get all the stuff like this here is, it all just, yeah, it just matches really nice and it's in a great position. They're a great place to be honest, especially for a 1999 model car. Next up, we're going to be getting all three cars up on the ramp, right in the air. We're going to take a walk around the underside of all three. We're going to be showing you some differences between the RS, the GSR, the unrestored, that one, and the restored. And yeah, we're just going to be showing you around, you know, it's taking you through a bit of the process of the restoration, and yeah, what they can look like when they've been really looked after, and also what they look like when they've been modified to go rallying. So, we're underneath the restored example, Mitsubishi EVO VI GSR. Some of you may recognise this from our channel. The earlier video we did was part one. And basically that video covered taking it all apart, stripping it down and ready to, you know, send away for the fabrication. And yeah, so this is it now. As you can see, we didn't really film putting it back together, but we'll show you it now. So underside obviously was all stripped down, blasted back to bare metal. It was then coated, all in epoxy primer, you know, the under seal coating, like the liner. And then it was painted to match body colour. All the components have been gone through, so bushes and bearings, all that have been replaced where required. The fuel tank's been dropped out, obviously you saw that, but it's been gone through, internally cleaned, treated the outside the same. All the shields have been removed so it can be properly done, put back on. And yeah, the whole car has been gone through. The AYC differential and all the rear arms have all been completely vapor blasted. New bushes, so we've gone for the Super Pro bushes, the bush kit in the whole car. All these ball joints here have been replaced for new. AYC diff was also completely rebuilt at the same time. Drive shaft's completely rebuilt. It's also gone for uprated Öhlins. I think they're the road and track suspension. We've got obviously the original exhaust, but cleaned it up a bit. It's currently got a back box delete on it, but it's 2 bolts to change it back to the standard HKS silencer. They just wanted it a little bit louder for the summer, and obviously that can easily be reverted back. AYC pump up here, that's in the car at the minute. It's not actually fully working at the moment. It needs a little bit more, but the owner may be tempted to go for an RS diff in this sort of car because it's slightly modified. Already got the Öhlins and stuff like that, so it makes sense to do that. So yeah, as you can see, it looks pretty nice. All the things have been replated as well, all the bolts, so they're back to a lovely gold zinc coating. So yeah, that really just shows, you know, what can be possible. And we'll take a walk over there to the unrestored example, and you'll see a direct comparison of what the difference is. One more thing though, I did forget to mention, the chassis rails on this have been completely replaced. So as you saw earlier in the video, we mentioned about the rust on them, so you can see how these are absolutely solid, brand new, all the way down there. So as I said, EVO VIs, at one point in their life, if they haven't been like really looked after, they're going to be needing a replacement set of those. So moving on to the other car now. As you saw earlier, we already talked about it, but you'll see a direct comparison. You know, look at the sills on this one. It's all black, under seal, you know, thick, trying to hide things. You know, everywhere you look, it's not a good look. You know, fuel lines here starting to corrode. And yeah, it's just, you know, years of abuse really, and not much looking after. So now we're going to move over to this rally car here, and we're going to show you some of the differences between obviously a road car and a rally car. So underside, obviously this is a gravel rally car, 4-wheel drive, Mitsubishi. It makes sense to take out in the forest, that's what it's for. So you can see obviously, yeah, it's a little bit battered underneath, but it's not bad at all. There's no real rot in it. You know, it's had a bit of a life as a rally car, as you'd expect. So obviously underside is fully guarded. So these are like fiberglass Kevlar guards all the way down, same on skirts, and also over all of this part, that's the prop shaft, and the steel plate on the rear diff. And then under the front, you've got a huge, what they call a sump guard. So very thick steel guard. Obviously you're running over rough terrain, especially with the EVO VIs where the oil filter is as well. They hang so low down. A lot of people actually fit a remote filter housing when they go rallying to get them up out of the way. But you know, that just covers everything, stops you putting a hole in your sump as soon as you take it out on the first stage. As for modifications, you've got the RS differential in this, which looks fairly different to the other one. So if you come to the back, obviously the other one, you can see that it's like a gold plate on it, and it's a lot bigger unit, the AYC is, whereas this is a lot more simpler, you know, back to basics, mechanical, a proper old school LSD. So yeah, that's, you know, a visual difference. Dampers are another massive difference on this car. It's got dynamics, so pretty sure these were developed by Mellors Elliott Motorsport for the Proton Pert, which actually won the Group N, I think it was a Group N World Championship. So the Proton Pert was effectively a Mitsubishi EVO VI that was badged as a Proton, because Malaysia, I think it was Malaysia, Petronas, they put the money in and they wanted to fund a Proton. So that's what won the championship, and these were developed for that. So this has got the dynamics dampers on, remote reservoirs. They're not remote reservoirs, sorry, they've got external canisters. I think the front have remote reservoirs. So these are on the damper here. So they've got, you know, your bump, your rebound, all your adjustment on there. Moving on to the front, I'll show you shortly. We'll lower it down and have a look, and I'll show you the remote reservoirs, but obviously dynamic dampers on the front. And you can just see, again, you'll see it clear when we lower it down, but the droop difference. So like the gap between the arch to there on this car compared to that one, you know, you can see it's a massive difference. So obviously going over jumps, loose terrain, that just keeps the car, you know, as it should be, tied to the ground, effectively going over jumps, ruts and all that. That's what that's for. So other things you've got, so the brakes on this, it's got Alcon calipers and disc on the front. This actually runs 15-inch wheels. It's kind of standard in rallying on gravel. On tarmac, you'll run 18s. On the gravel, you'll run 15-inch wheels, big, strong wheels with big tyres, obviously, over the rough gravel terrain. That's what you need, that's what you've got to have. So yeah, we'll lower it down, and then we'll talk a bit more about the interior, things like roll cages, safety equipment, and yeah, show you through that lot. So a bit more information regarding rallying and modifications. So this guy here has obviously been fitted with a tubular manifold. So that's obviously completely different. We'll show you over there to the standard manifold. Gives you more power, more response and stuff like that, which is what you really want from a rally car because they have a restrictor. So all rally cars, regulations state, I can't remember exactly what it is, but Group N, you have to run, I think it's a 34 mil restrictor for rallying regulations. So that is what that big blue tube is there. That restricts the flow into the turbo to then obviously limit your power. It's to stop people building, because these can fairly easily go 400 odd horsepower. It's to stop people putting it up to that power, taking it in the forest and turning it into basically what Group B was. So that's why that was brought in. And yeah, it's been fitted obviously as per the regulations. And yeah, so back to the dampers a bit. So these here are the external canisters. So as you saw, the ones on the back of the car, they were right on the damper. You run external canisters on rally cars because it gets them up out of the way. And it's also for easy adjustment to save you getting down underneath the car and having to adjust. You can just lift the bonnet up at the side of the road. The driver can do this themselves between stages. Oh, it's a bit soft, I need to change the rebound, whatever. Come in the bonnet, rotate this, and that will change the damper setup. Or you're going into a slightly different terrain stage, or it's more bumpy, more jumpy from your recce, things like that. It's just for ease of adjustment and also reliability, gets them out from under the car. Other things you've got under here, lightweight battery over there. So again, battery is quite a heavy thing. You fit a lighter battery. You do it on road cars as well, with modified, performance stuff, but again, that's been done on this. This also had the EGR deleted from it. Can't even think what else, but it's got a big loud horn, proper connectors on the fuel system, just to try and add some reliability into it and things like that. The other thing is you might see is these lines here, they're extinguisher pipes. So obviously as per regulations, you have to run an onboard fire extinguisher, a handheld, which I'll show you. To be fair, it hasn't actually gotten fitted, but it's meant to. The brackets there, it's been taken out for use for something else. But yeah, so you have an external, like a handheld one. So that'll be often near the co-driver. So they'll be able to carry that around. And if you've got a fire, you've got that one. You also have the built-in extinguisher, which is all plumbed through the car, activated by a button or a pull cable on the dashboard. Go around, have a bit more of a look at the interior. If you come around this side, I'll go around the other side. So obviously you can see lots of carbon fibre is the first thing you'll notice. So lightweight door cards, even the standard, EVO VI door cards aren't too heavy. Who doesn't like carbon fibre? So the switch panel here, you've got all your gauges, AFR, oil pressure, temperature, things to keep an eye on, especially for the co-driver. The driver will be concentrating, as will the co-driver, but it's all there, good to have the information. This here is a control panel for the electronic extinguisher, to activate it, put it in test mode, things like that. This here, you'll notice the RS, because this is an RS, it has the manual heater controls. So obviously all these gauges here, whereas the other one had the climate control. It's also got switches for things like heated screen, your spotlights, anti-lag system, and a screen wash. You then also got here a hydraulic handbrake. So that there is basically a hydraulically fed handbrake to the rear wheels, rear calipers, and that'll activate the rear brakes only, and obviously allow you to do pretty good handbrake turns. It doesn't actually have a drive brake fitted, this car. So on tarmac and stuff it will struggle, but on the loose you can still get the rear end moving, so it's quite good. A couple more things to do with obviously the rallying. You'll notice the bucket seats in this. So these are obviously, they're dated to events, along with the belts, have to be in date to be able to compete. So this has got Sparco wing bucket seats. Another thing here that's quite cool, we'll show you here, this is a Stilo intercom. So obviously inside the rally car, it's rather noisy, especially going over rough terrain, stones hitting the bottom of the car and things like that. You have that, and that obviously allows you to then hear each other. It's pretty much like a headset you'd wear on a computer or whatever. You plug that in, you can hear each other clearly through your helmets. And then what you've also got on the road section, it's still quite noisy in here, because obviously you've got to navigate your way to the next stage. You have headsets. I'll just grab one out here. So these is what you'd wear on the road section. So you'd effectively have one of these each, and you'd put it on, and you'd be able to communicate with each other on the road section. And then in the back there, you've got the helmet net. So you'd finish your stage, take your helmets off, you'd put your helmets in there with the built-in intercom, and then you'd put one of these on and get back in the car and drive to the next stage. Pretty much how it works. You'll notice as well the roll cage around there. So it's a proper multi-point custom cages roll cage, you know, done to be one of the best you can get for rallying purposes. Lots of strength, lots of safety, nice rigidity in the shell. And yeah, we'll now go and compare that to the other one in this car here. So it's more of a Japanese dash dodger is what we like to call them. So you'll notice the difference just straight away. So it's obviously dodging the dash, a dash dodger. It's just nowhere near as nice, but for a road car, you don't necessarily want door bars in the way, trying to get in and out of the car. It is a bit of a pain. And to be honest, in a way, this is kind of cool in its own aspect because it's just what you're doing. You see in Japan a lot of the time, they'd rip the driver's seat out, fit a bucket seat, leave all the rest of the seats standard. So it's actually quite rare to find a car, especially a JDM import with the factory seats left in it. So yeah, it's kind of cool in its own right. So we'll now move on. Talk a little bit more about the wheels. So obviously you can see here, these are obviously the 15s as I mentioned, and that's a 17. On this car here, that's actually got 18s on it, but that's obviously going for the rally look. As you can see, it's inspired by this wheel here. Same sort of design, but on an 18, so that's like a gravel look, but in an 18-inch. So lots of options and things to play with. This car here has actually got quite a few modifications, although it's not in a healthy condition at the moment. You know, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get it up and running and sort it out to be looking as good as that one is underneath, which we've already done. So this here has got coil and plug conversion. I think this has got veneer pulleys on it. Yeah, HKS veneer cam pulleys. And yeah, I think this was running Link ECU with over 400 horsepower. So, you know, quite powerful. It's on, I think this is on the Tyne coilovers. So these are just kind of your mid. So that one there over there's got the Öhlins on. So they're like the best you can get really for the road cars. This here are kind of a more cheaper option, but they're still good. They're not, you know, dangerously crap. So, and then obviously you've got your high end, your external reservoir, rally suspension on that one. We'll pop the bonnet of this one, we'll show you some differences. So as you saw on the one there, it actually had coil packs on top of the engine. You won't actually be able to see now because it's got a cover on it. If you can find the bonnet release, I can't remember where it is on this. See it? So you'll see, well you can't see, but under here you've got individual, it's a weighted spark setup, so that's been converted over there to coil pack. So this here, it's got a lot of things like, you know, your silicone hoses, your external, your replacement air filter. The rally car's actually got an original air filter box on it, and I'm pretty sure that was actually because it was a regulation in Group M back in the day, you had to retain the air box maybe. I can't fully remember on that, but yeah, so obviously a lot of people will just fit one of these, different filters, and makes it sound a bit better. This car here has also actually got the EGR system deleted, those bungs have been put in there. Back to the dampers, obviously these are Öhlins, they're gold. So this here will adjust your camber, and it will actually give a slight caster adjustment on this. As you can see, it's angled forwards. This has got a Koyo rad in it, and this is actually a standard exhaust manifold. So you can see it's basically non-tubular, it's literally just like a cast manifold that goes straight into the head. So yeah, that's fundamentally it. A bit more information about rallying and then just talking about a few of the modifications you can do. This one here is about 350 horsepower, that one there 400 plus, and that one actually there, the rally car, is probably 280 to 300 horsepower, and that is because of the restrictor. That will have a hell of a lot more torque than these two though, but yeah, it's just what you got to do to meet the regulations. But take it down a gravel stage, that'll be the quickest. So that wraps up looking around the cars. Next up, we're going to take this restored example out for a drive up the road, and yeah, we'll, you know, run through what it's like to drive, the general experience being behind the wheel of one of these cars, and do our best to share that with you guys. So we're in the car now. We're going to take it for a drive up the road and just try and generally share the experience with you, what it's like to drive. So it's a very hot day today. Gear knob, first thing, is absolutely boiling my hand off. This has got a rally out gear knob fitted. Standard car comes with a leather one, so probably a bit more appropriate for a day like today. This car is also fitted with a Momo steering wheel, like a race style one. It's a really perfect size, to be honest, and just, I think, slightly smaller than the standard one, but it just gives that steering, just helps to bring out the raw feeling of, you know, a full, like, assisted steering, but it's all proper hydraulic, none of this electric stuff you'd find on a modern car. So just pulling out onto the main road now, and as you can hear, that soundtrack, 4-cylinder, 4G63 turbo engine. This has got a sort of a fancy-ish dump valve, as they always do when you get a car in from Japan. That's the first thing they do to them, it seems. So yeah, sounds a bit like it's out of Fast and Furious, but yeah, it's certainly cool, and you can hear it. Building boost, dumping boost. You know, it's just noises you don't get on cars today. That raw feeling of mechanicalness, and just, yeah, you feel connected with the road and the car. You work in a symphony together, and yeah, you just feel like you're part of the machine. The gear change on it is very mechanical, direct. You can't just rush through the gears. You've got to really take your time, feel your way into each gear, and, like, you know, just be patient with it. If you rush it, you'll, you know, grind a synchro, stuff like that. You just got to treat it with respect. However, on the other hand, you know, it's quite a refined place to be. You know, you've got aircon keeping you nice and cool. It's quite quiet, really. Obviously, this has got quite a loud exhaust, but in terms of cabin noise, it's really not too bad. You know, seats are really comfy. They hold you incredibly well, almost like a race, like track bucket seat would. But this is obviously with a lot more padding. It's, you know, you could drive to Scotland in this and you would not get uncomfy. Also, though, you could take it on the track and you don't move out your seat. Like, it really holds you nicely. So yeah, they've really thought it out well. And yeah, it's just generally a nice place to be. Take it down the road, you're in for that experience. You feel like you're getting in a rally car, but not to the extreme. Like, you just get the taste of a rally car, and that's just what makes it brilliant. So just a little bit more about ourselves and sort of a bit of background to where our knowledge comes from on these cars and the general Mitsubishi EVO platform. So yeah, the boss of the company, Sports Vehicle Performance, used to actually work for Rally Art Mitsubishi Motorsport back in the day when the likes of Tommy Mackinnon were driving there in the Group A 6.5 EVO 5 rally car, Group A, then moved into WRC days, people at Harry Rovanpera. So yeah, the mechanics on the car in the workshop, preparing them for the event, and then obviously travelling around the world with the cars and, you know, servicing them, doing whatever is required. I think they were there from like 98 to 2004 when the firm stopped and pulled out the World Rally Championship. So obviously there's quite a lot of experience there, and then, you know, that's all shared within us. And yeah, me myself, I've owned Mitsubishis since I was 19. I had an EVO 10, it was my first car, not my first car, but my first Evolution Mitsubishi. And then I've since then had a 7, and I've actually had an EVO 6 rally car because I used to compete in motorsport in that back when I was a bit younger. And then now, yeah, just always been around them, and yeah, just, you know, you pick up on a lot of knowledge about them. So when it comes to rebuilding them, working on them, servicing them, whatever that may be, we know them rather well. Now, they're not supercar fast or even modern day sports car fast. These cars are from 1999, but if you want that, you don't go and buy a Mitsubishi. You buy one because you want to feel like you're in a rally car. You want that raw driving experience, you know, making you feel like you're actually doing something and actually driving the car. The power delivery is fairly laggy, but it kicks in hard at 3,000 RPM. So we'll drop down some gears, dropping into third, slow down a bit more, come in second. We'll just do a little pull and you'll hear just slightly what the experience is like. So second gear, nothing, it builds, you hear it build, and then it goes. And you just shoot backwards in your seat and it takes off. Now this thing here, this car is running about 350 odd horsepower. Obviously people have far more than that. The standard car comes with around 280, so it's just slightly tweaked. And to be honest, I think where this car is almost the perfect place to have them. You know, not too much power, that it makes it undrivable, and also very mechanically unreliable without spending an absolute fortune on things like gearboxes, you know, engine work, forged internals, big turbos. That's just very expensive, whereas pretty much standard setup, a fuel pump, boost controller or ECU, and, you know, you're away. Air filter, exhaust changes, and like personally, I think that's where these cars be. They feel right at this power. The chassis is designed for it, it handles it, and yeah, it's just amazing. As for the way the car handles, the four-wheel drive system with the AYC, it just bites like nothing else. You'll turn in and the rear will just kind of follow it around, a bit like a touring car, like, you know, like a British touring car, almost feel like the front just dives and the rear feels like it's almost just following in suit. And you know, for quite a big four-wheel drive car, that's incredible. You kind of think, oh, I might understeer a bit, but it really doesn't. The AYC actually works incredibly well. These EVO 6s and prior, they don't have the active center diff, which the later models do, which is a slight benefit, but to be honest, it's less to go wrong. And if you're going to be fitting the RS diff setup anyway, you don't want the active center diff, so these are far easier to just fit the RS diff in. You know, it's a lot more simple, and it just works out the box then with the RS diff. As for the RS diff, you will end up with mechanical noise from the rear end. So if you're going to be like daily in the car, and you know, you only really hear mechanical noises a lot if you're cornering hard, but you just got to be aware of that. You will notice it a bit, but again, it's not a bad thing. As you can hear there, I don't know if you can hear it, the whine and the brakes. This car here is fitted with, I think it's a Godspeed kit, so it's got the larger discs with the separate valve and then carbon pads. I can't remember the exact spec of them, but you can hear they make a whine, which personally all that does is remind me of Group A rallying at its peak, a car coming into service and you know, just slowing down. There's just not a sound that hits quite like that. It just really just matches the car, I feel like. It just, yeah, it really brings it all back, and it certainly stops well as well. So best of both worlds. Again, can be a bit annoying if you're driving around town slowly. You know, if you find things like that annoying, well, that's fine. You don't have to put carbon pads in it. Just put, you know, a less aggressive pad and it'll still stop very well. These cars as well, because they're from like back in 99, 2000, they weren't as heavy. So you look at it, oh, it's quite a big car, quite heavy, but they're really not when you compare it to modern standards. It's just the feeling you get with driving these cars that you don't get with any car these days. You literally feel so connected in every movement you do. You're part of the car. You feel it through your arse. You feel it through the steering, the brakes, the power. You know, you've got a proper cable throttle on it. Everything, it's just, it ties you into the car. You are part of the car. It's the kind of car that just reminds you why we all fall in love with driving. It's raw, it's rewarding, and it's just everything a road-going homologation special should be. So there you have it. Just come back from road test in the other EVO 6. I'm going to talk briefly about prices now. So if you're looking to buy one of these cars, EVO 6 GSR as a project, you'll probably be able to pick one up between 8 to 12 grand roughly in a project condition that's going to need some restoration. If you spend a bit more, you can get a tidy usable car for probably, I'd say probably 17 to 25 depending on condition and mileage. If you want a really nice example, GSR or RS, you're going to be looking between 30 and 40 grand. That would be for a fully restored example, you know, nut and bolt perfect. And then moving on to the Tommy Macklin editions, generally they're probably 40 to 50,000 pounds for a semi all right one, like, you know, quite a tidy one. But then if you've got a red one that's, for example, one of them that was a Mitsubishi UK car, owned by them, that sold for 140,000 at auction. It was the first, I think it was like chassis number 1 or 2, so that made 140 grand. But yeah, so they vary a lot depending on mileage condition, and the red ones always fetch more. So there we have it. Thanks very much for watching the Sports Vehicle Performance channel. Hopefully you found some of that information useful. Comparing 3 cars, it's quite a cool thing to do. Show you guys, give you the visuals on the differences between a rotten car that needs work, a lovely example of one, and also a modified rally example. So yeah, hopefully you found it useful. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.